welcome back to Basic Basement Videos. This is part 2. Last week we were talking about the pentatonic minor scale, and that's just a little bit of review of it. We're doing it in the key of E there, so in the key of E, and I'm not going to go through all these patterns. There's tons of information on the internet, so look it up. But in the key of E, and this works good with blues, real good with blues. In the key of E, well, what is a key? That is, I would say 90% of the time that's the first note you play of a song. Not always the case, but most of the time. So we're playing a little blues thing in E. So instead of last week we were playing on the 5th fret here at the A string, so we move that little lick down here, a little riff. Basic pentatonic scale. That's from the 6th string. If you're playing this, like I said, there's many different patterns. If you're playing the E on the A string, which would be right here. Oh, see, hit a bad note. Or as you can see, you can put those together in many different combinations. Very useful tool. Okay, so last time I said we were going to talk about the pentatonic minor scale and playing in a relative minor key. Now what does that mean? Well, like I said, this pentatonic is very useful, but it doesn't always work in every key for the song. Now let's just take a little short example of this. Today we're going to be looking at "Knocking on Heaven's Door," old Bob Dylan song, and you can play it along. G, D, A minor, G, D, C. Just rocks back and forth. And the key of the song is G, right? I mean, everybody. That's what we're going to play then. It's in the key of G. Would you really want to play the pentatonic scale in G with this song? Like I said, it doesn't always work, and this is one of those cases, and this is where knowing about the relative minor, a little bit of theory, will really help you. And we'll do a little example of this, and I'm gonna just show you what it sounds like playing the song in G, "Knocking on Heaven's Door," and I'm gonna try to play some of this pentatonic in G, which is going to be right here, right? Because this is a G, and so we'll be talking about. Okay, so now you know that's where you would start. You would think you would try that. Well, let's try it and just see what it sounds like. I've got it pre-recorded. I'm gonna cut this up. Not too bad, a little bluesy sound. Doesn't really fit. Doesn't really fit, does it? I mean, it's more of a bluesy thing. And the pentatonic, if you're playing in that key, if you're in the key of E and you're playing blues, you play the pentatonic in E, it's going to work every time. But if it's not blues, which this is not, this is just like a slow ballad, it doesn't seem to work too good. So that's when I would suggest, well, let's look at the relative minor. So we're still in the key of G, right? So what is the relative minor of G, you say? Well, how do you figure that out? You're gonna, if you know anything about the keyboard and you know the circle of fifths, you know, in the key of G, then a 5th from that is going to be D. Okay, now if you go up a whole step from that D, that's going to give you an E minor. So the relative minor of G is E minor. And you know, you can look this up if you're not familiar with it. I would suggest you get familiar with the relative minors. And most people know, the relative minor of C is A, and it kind of goes back to a little bit of theory about the keyboard and even the grand staff. Neither C nor A have any flats or sharps in the key signature, and that's why they're called relative minors. It's basically the same scale, just depends on what note you're emphasizing, what's the key note of the song. So anyway, the relative minor of G is E minor, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to take that same pentatonic scale and go to E. We're going to go to E where we started at, where we was playing the blues at, and we're going to see if we can see what that sounds like playing this same rhythm in the key of G. So, and no matter what the chord changes are, we're going to stick to this E. And, just trying to make something work, but using this pattern, and you have to play around with it, see what notes fit and what don't. So let's try this in the E pentatonic, see if it sounds any better, because it really didn't sound like it was clashing a little bit trying to play this G, and that's when you should go to the relative minor, so which is my point. So let's try this again in E. Much better. Much better, I think, in the E. So there you have it. That's the relative minor. We're playing in the key of G, and we're playing the lead in a relative minor key for G, which is E minor. So now that's gonna be all for today, folks. Next week, talk about some substitute chords. So tune in then and we'll do part 3. Till then, jam on.